Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? So we've got housing crises across the world, right? And all across the Western world. Housing crisis, recessions. The middle class is struggling after huge bouts of inflation. We've got actual wars in the world going on that seemingly may never end. Why not? Trump said, why not? What better time than to start a trade war? Interesting. And honestly, nobody believed him, as was kind of summed up by this Deutsche Bank strategist. He says Trump's tariff threats were not taken seriously, and markets completely underpriced the risks. Well, it seems like he may have actually been serious, although now, just like today, he actually just paused the Mexican tariffs for 1 month. But anyway, nevertheless, it seems Donnie Boy is pretty serious. I mean, look at that face. He's pretty serious. Let's take a listen to what he said, first of all, so we get some context. And what this video is about, it's about the looming European Union tariffs. And specifically, I want to hear what the European leaders have to say and are saying about the looming tariffs, potential tariffs, probable tariffs coming. Yeah, but let's listen to Donnie.
Am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Do you want the truthful answer, or should I give you a political answer? Absolutely.
I will say, now that he says that, he is a different kind of politician, you must admit. Most politicians say shit and then don't actually do it. Trump says shit and then even his supporters are like, he's not actually going to do that. He's not going to do that. And then he does it.
Absolutely. The European.
Like, wait, we voted for, oh shit. I didn't know he'd actually do it.
Union has treated us so terribly. Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. They cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. I had that one in negotiation.
The markets are on fire right now. If you pay attention to financial markets, they're on fire.
Some of the good deals.
Not in a good way. That actually sounds like a good thing. They're on fire. No, they're like on fire, like,
For the farmers, and unfortunately those deals have been led astray by Biden and his people because they didn't enforce the deals. We have a deal with China which is phenomenal for the farmers, but there was nobody to enforce it in the Biden administration. They let them get away with murder. So that's another thing we're going to be bringing. They committed. Wait a minute. They committed to buying $50 billion worth of farm product, and they did it when I was president. And as soon as I left, they stopped doing it because there was nobody in Biden to enforce it. But the tariffs are going to make us very rich.
One thing I will say that I feel like a lot of people don't understand about Trump, and it is important to at least try to understand his thought process. And I think if you view it through the lens of he grew up in the real estate business, it's pretty cutthroat. And he views the whole world basically as a big negotiation. That's all anything ever is. It's like, who's screwing who over? You never want to get screwed over. We need to do it. We're getting taken advantage of. It's very like not collaborative. It's just like everybody's each other's enemy. It's a zero-sum game, and I'm going to try to take all the chips. It's kind of the mindset, I feel like.
And very strong, and we're going to treat other countries very fairly. But if you think about it, other countries charge us tariffs. We don't charge them tariffs, and it's about time that changes.
There is truth to the fact that, what is it? Is it like in Germany, U.S. cars have a 10% tariff right now, whereas I think the tariff on German cars is 2.5% coming into America. So, yeah, there's that. The 25%, that's actually what blew my mind. 25%? Like, when we're talking about a 2.5% tariff, it's like, okay, all right, I feel like people can, whatever. There's a reasonableness in that range. When we're talking about 25%, 25% tariff? What does that even do?
Market reaction around tariffs?
No, no. Tariffs. The word tariff is a very misunderstood word. You've heard me say. I say it kiddingly, but it's one of the most beautiful words.
There you go. It's one of the most beautiful words. That's Trump's opinion. I do agree. The word tariff. I'm so honestly sick of people talking about, like, tariffs mean this, tariffs mean that. This person pays a tariff. No, this person pays a tariff. No, the cost is passed on to you. Anyway, maybe I'll talk more about that later, but I honestly am here to I want to know what the European leaders had to say. It's very interesting. So Macron, let's do it. I tried to find some clips. Hopefully, I haven't watched these yet, you know? That's the difficult part for me is I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know if exactly I found what I want, but here's Macron.
All European instruments to make sure that our companies and...
Hold on.
Their leaders say it is more important than ever that Europe asserts and defends its interests, now that there is a new administration in the United States.
It's a matter of urgency that we use all European instruments to make sure that our companies and farmers have fair competition conditions in a world that is more brutal and uninhibited.
President Emmanuel Macron and Chancellor Olaf Scholz met in Paris.
Doesn't sound very friendly. Brutal and I mean, it's true. It's just kind of unfortunate.
On Wednesday, following US President Donald Trump's renewed threats to slap tariffs on Europe.
They don't take our cars at all. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take very much. We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly.
So $350 billion. I mean, of course, I feel like I want to know the more context to that. That's interesting to hear, but obviously the EU has more people. You know, they have like 50% more people. Maybe not 50%, but a lot more people. 100 million more people or something like that. So I would expect there to be, you know, a bit of a deficit.
They're going to be in for tariffs.
Europe has consistently exported more products to the United States than it imported. In 2023, it had a surplus of goods to the value of 155 billion euros. However, when it came to services, it was the US with 104 billion euros in surplus. It's not the first time the relationship has faced hurdles. In Trump's first term, he implemented tariffs on European steel and aluminium. In return, the EU imposed tariffs on Harley-Davidsons and American.
Harley-Davidsons? Specifically Harley-Davidsons? That sucks for them. Not just like motorcycles or automobiles in general, just Harley-Davidsons.
On Harley-Davidsons and American whiskey. This time round, the landscape is different, with Europe's economies facing sluggish growth.
The ability to retaliate is more limited for sellers than for buyers, right? If you need access to consumers in order to keep your economy growing and you don't have domestic demand, which has been the case in China and in Germany, that does limit the degrees of freedom.
Regardless, the EU chief says the bloc stands ready to protect its interests.
Interesting. Okay, this is I'm just scrolling through and I see Trudeau here. So obviously he's not European, but you know, it is what it is. They're getting a big tariff, so I want to know what he says.
President Trump said that he wants to usher in a golden age for the United States. That will require more steel and aluminum, more critical minerals, more reliable and affordable energy, more of everything to run the U.S. economy full steam ahead. True. Canada has all those resources. The alternative for them would be more resources from Russia, China, or
he makes a good point, I think.
Or Venezuela.
You know, and I think it kind of goes back to the negotiating thing. I think Trump, I don't know. I don't know what Trump, it's really hard to know what Trump actually thinks on things, but I think he wants other things. You know, like you see this thing with Mexico. He just paused the tariffs on Mexico for a month because they're going to send troops to the border. Like, I think that's what he actually wanted. I think the tariffs are just a stick. He's using a whack. Yeah, I don't know. But it's hard to know. It's really hard to know.
Let's take a look at.
But like, what does he want from Canada? That's what's confusing to me. I don't know why, especially Canada. Like, okay, you want to talk about the Mexican border, okay, but Canada? What are they? Canada's screwing us over, apparently.
At the markets, Danica.
Okay, here's another clip from Euro News. I think we got some more people. I think Olaf talks in here.
As the economic world prepares for war, European leaders have made clear their stance on US President Donald Trump's possible tariff tactic. Speaking before attending an informal security meeting on Monday in Brussels, most heads of state agreed on a united and thorough response to US import taxes.
Klar ist, als starker Wirtschaftsraum können wir selber unsere Dinge gestalten und können auch auf mit Zollpolitiken reagieren. Das müssen und
Yeah, retaliatory tariffs. That's unfortunate, you know. Everybody starts just tariffing each other. It's an unfortunate thing. That obviously is good for nobody.
werden wir dann auch
It just reduces trade in general.
mit Zollpolitiken reagieren. Das müssen und werden wir dann
But I understand, you know, why you'd have to do that.
tun. Aber es sollte die Perspektive und das Ziel sein, dass wir so vorgehen, dass es auf Kooperation hinausläuft. Das zu bereden wird ein wichtiger Punkt sein.
Avoidance seemed to be the number one option for most countries.
I don't know who he is, to be honest.
I think that we have to do everything to avoid.
Donald Tusk, Polish PM. Okay. I don't know him, to be honest. Donald Tusk. All right, Donald. What's Donald had to say about Donald?
That we have to do everything to avoid this totally unnecessary and stupid tariff wars or trade wars.
I like this guy. He speaks his mind.
But at the same time, I think we cannot lose, of course, common sense. We cannot not lose the awareness of our interest. But at the same time, we cannot lose our European self-respect and self-confidence.
As Trump moves forward his foreign policy agenda and the war in Ukraine further limits European dependence on Russian gas, Europe is looking to become more economically independent. But at the same time, it would also have to ramp up its defense spending. According to the EU Commission, the bloc needs to invest €500 billion on defense over the next decade.
Okay, I think I found a clip of Keir Starmer saying something about it. So cool.
Lunch at Chequers for Keir Starmer and the German Chancellor, digesting the news that Donald Trump has started his promised trade war, although the Prime Minister hopeful the UK won't be hit with tariffs.
It's early days, and what I want to see is strong trading relations, and in the discussions that I've had with President Trump, that's what we have centred on.
But the EU...
That was some terrible audio, but okay, he's hopeful that there won't be any war with the UK.
EU has been told it will be next. This was Donald Trump on Friday.
Am I going to impose?
Already watched that.
One of the big opportunities for the UK right now would be to get much closer to the US, our biggest trading partner. We have a trade deal with the European Union already, so alongside that, a trade deal with...
It is interesting how the UK is positioned so differently, since because of Brexit, you know, they're not involved in the EU tariffs.
The US would be a big win.
So they might be able to somehow take advantage of, you know, they're sitting a little bit better than some other countries. I particularly feel a little bit bad for Germany, I feel like, because they're in recession. I don't know if that's official or whatever, but, you know, in the automobile industry, it's difficult right now, and so you add on tariffs on top of that. I mean, a lot of German cars are sold here in America. So that's just sad.
A lot's changed since Brexit. The Ukraine war has shaken up security. The US is upending global trade. The UK is looking for common ground in all directions.
Wow. Okay. Well, I feel like that gave me a pretty good overview. I see what the leaders are saying. It's very interesting. Scary times, potentially. Scary unknown times ahead. We'll see how it all plays out. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.